sun was beginning to rise in the east, painting an orange hue across the sky. Long wisps of cloud pointed towards the heavens like the fingers of a giant hand. The outline of a tall grand building was silhouetted against the multicoloured sky, its long spire standing out eerily in the first light of dawn. It was an impressive sight, standing as it did on a lone hill overlooking a still dark forest. Animals began to stir, awakening to greet the new dawn as myriads of birds begin their dawn chorus. These were no ordinary birds, however, nor indeed was Bedside Forest any ordinary forest. Odd-looking flowers stretched themselves and shook the morning dew from their leaves. The faces on the flowers smiled broadly at the friendly old sun as it peeped at them from the horizon. An old gnarled oak tree stretched his limbs and let out a long, deep yawn, startling the hose in hose and green-ruffed primroses which were nestling among his mighty roots. On the very edge of the forest, a little green dragon, lying between his mother's paws, uncurled his tail and rubbed his eyes before opening them to the bright new day. If the little green dragon had been inside the house at that time, he would certainly have wanted to be back with his mother, for everything about the place was sinister. In one room there was a cauldron of blue liquid boiling water in the middle of the floor. Fluorescent green steam arose from it, curling its way like a snake into the cobweb-laden rafters. 4 black cats sat silently in one, yellow-green eyes penetrating the gloom like torches. In another corner, sitting in an old chair, was a cloaked man. Standing next to him was a shorter man, who wore his hair combed upwards and cut straight at the top. This man also wore a cloak, though his was the wrong way round, like a bib. Apparently, the reason why he wore it this way was because he never knew whether he was coming or going. "Ah!" exclaimed the seated man as the witch flew in through the opened window. "Good morning, Estella. Did you have a good night?" "Unfortunately, yes," she snapped, "and I hate good nights. Give me a good old-fashioned bad night any time." She noticed the other figure and eyed him suspiciously. "And who might this be?" she demanded as she pointed her broomstick towards the stranger. The taller man stood up, grinning nervously. "Oh, I'm so sorry," he mumbled. This is Count Stacula, the last legal lord of Bedside Manor. I'd like you to meet Miss Estella Cassell, the most powerful witch in Bedside County." A silver Bentley saloon pulled up outside Bedside Manor at about 9 o'clock in the morning. The chauffeur, dressed in a maroon-coloured uniform, alighted and went round to the car to open the passenger door. Elfie Appetite emerged, an imposing figure. Elfie was plump and jolly. "Well, John," he addressed the chauffeur, "what do you think of our new home?" John looked up at the imposing building with its tall spires reaching up into the morning sky. "Very nice, I'm sure," he replied, not wishing to offend his governor. Elfie stood for a while, admiring his new estate, before deciding to go in. He walked slowly and deliberately up to the huge double oak doors, with John following behind. "Key?" he asked simply, as he held his hand out to John. From his overcoat pocket, John produced a huge ornate key and ceremoniously handed it to Elfie. Putting the key into the keyhole, Elfie tried in vain to turn it. He tried again, clutching it with both hands, but it was no good. Eventually, he had to ask for John's assistance, until at last the key turned and a click came from inside the lock. Then they both had to push the door so hard in order to open it. Gradually it creaked open, and a couple of bats, of the animal kind, flew out. Once inside, they had to brush away the cobwebs. Every time they moved their feet, clouds of dust billowed in the air, almost choking them. I suppose we're not used to it, John coughed. After all, I don't hear the spiders coughing. Elfie was not amused and made a quick exit for the door, holding a handkerchief to his mouth. John followed hastily. As they came out, a green double-decker bus pulled up beside Elfie's car. The door of the bus opened and an army of char-ladies got out, armed with brooms, mops and buckets. I'm afraid it's very dusty, Elfie told them. But undaunted, the brave ladies went into the house and into battle with the spiders. Elfie shrugged his shoulders.